Picking up where we left off in the last video, I'm going to take out most of the text here because what we're looking at, we're going to need the word curl, -u, user and password, then a -d, and then in quotes, we're going to need status equals and whatever the message is, and then after that, it's the Twitter API XML call. Now we'll start building the string. I'll first create the status string. I'll call it status, and this will be a string with format. And the format is going to be status equals, and then a %@ sign, and then we'll substitute in our clean string. After that, we're going to need our arguments. And this will be an NS array. We'll use array with objects. The first object will be a -u. The second one is going to be our name and password. And we've already created a helper method for that. Then we're going to need a -d. After that, we insert the status. Here's where we'll put the URL. And just like we did when we were checking for authentication, I think we should create a global constant from our URL. So I'll copy that. I'm going to go up to the top of the file. And I'll add that in. And we'll call this one TM update URL. And now we can use this TM update URL variable instead. Go back down. And I'll paste that in right there. And then we terminate with nil. Now we have everything that we need to run our task. Our task is going to return a string. And it's going to be an XML string. We'll talk to our TM run task class, and we'll have it execute task at path with arguments. For the launch path, I'll use TM launch path. And for the arguments, I'm going to use arguments. Once we get the string back from our NS task, we'll need to run it through our Twitter result from XML string, and that's what we'll return to our main controller. I can go ahead and remove this comment now. We don't need that anymore. And if we look at both of these methods, they're very similar, and it took very little effort on our part to add this method, perform update with text. And you can see how easy it would be to add even more methods if you wanted to extend this application's functionality. Let's do a quick rundown of what we've done. When we first enter the method, we're going to create a string called auth, and that's going to perform our isUserAuthenticated method. When that value is returned, we're going to compare that with our username, and if those two do not match, that means there was something wrong with the authentication, and we'll want to return immediately whatever that value was. If the user is authenticated, we're going to create a new string, and we'll call it clean string, and here we'll take the text that was passed in, and we're going to perform the method string by adding %escapes using encoding, and this will make sure that not only will our text make it through the NS task, but when it gets to the website, it'll display correctly there as well. After that, we're going to start creating our curl string. We start off by creating the status section using string with format. We use the status equals and the %@ for Objective-C objects. We give it clean string as an argument. Then we create the arguments list that the NS task is going to need. And here we're creating an array. And I just noticed that I created a string instead, so I'll correct that. We'll use the array with objects method, and we pass in each one of the arguments as an individual object inside of our NS array. After that, we have our TM run task execute the task. It's going to return an XML string. We run that through our Twitter result from XML string method. And the result from that, we pass back to our main controller. So I say let's build and run and post a tweet. I'll click the Post button, and we can see that our update was successful. We can close this, go over and look at the account on Safari, and just verify that it worked. Here we are on the Allen Craig demo site, and we can see that our tweet was posted, and it says posting a tweet from the Twitter API. Now our entire application is working. There's only one more thing that we need to add, and that's a way to extract URLs from our text, turn that into a tiny URL, and substitute the tiny URL in place in our text view. And in our next video, that's exactly what we'll do.